Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Today, as you can tell from the title and thumbnail, we're going to be looking at the 5 players on the Detroit Lions roster that I believe can have a breakout season in 2020. But before we get into it, I have a couple things that I want to talk about. First and foremost, I know that Dion did this the other day, but I'm not copying him. I've had this idea for a while. I've been doing the research for this for a couple days now. And just to freshen up the content, make sure I'm not repeating anything that he said, I made sure to pick players that, were not on his list. Not that I disagree or anything. I really think that he had good picks. I just want to make sure that I don't seem like I'm copying him or doing anything to, take views away from his channel. Because I really respect him, and I think, he's one of the reasons that I even started this is just because he made content and inspired me. So I'm not copying him, and I'm gonna make different picks so that it's not the same thing. And then obviously, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying that content, consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with a Detroit Lions or an NFL fan that you believe would enjoy this type of content. But with that being said, let's get into the Detroit Lions that I think have the best position, or that are in the best position to have a breakout season in 2020. So the first player I wanted to look at is Kerryon Johnson. Now, Kerryon is a very unique case. In his rookie year, we drafted him out of Auburn in the second round. In his rookie year, he played in 10 games for the Detroit Lions, had 641 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he averaged 5.4 yards a carry. That's a very, very good stat. I think running backs genuinely aim for that 4 yards a carry mark, because that way, if you give them the ball every play, they're going to get a first down every 3 plays, keep the chains moving. And I think 4.0 is a very solid, range to aim for if you're a running back. And Kerryon was almost a yard and a half past that. And unfortunately, he did get hurt at the end of in the middle of his rookie season. Wasn't able to finish out the season, but, he had high expectations coming into 2019. Now, in 2019, he struggled a little bit more than he did in his rookie year. Got injured again, only played in 8 games, had 403 yards, again, 3 touchdowns, but he only averaged 3.6 yards a game, or 3.6 yards a carry. Which is close to that 4.0, but it's, about half a yard behind that. Not quite what you want to see out of your running back that averaged 5.4 the year before. And I think that, he had a very down year, a sophomore slump, if you want to call it that. But the reason I think that he's in a prime condition to have a breakout season next year is, one, I think he'll have better health. He was kind of the workhorse. He was kind of the guy the Lions leaned on heavily last year. At least in the beginning of the season, before we had Bo Scarborough. We had CJ Anderson, but he didn't play a lot. We really leaned on Kerryon, and this offseason, we drafted Jason Huntley. We drafted DeAndre Swift. Last season, we brought in Bo Scarborough when Kerryon got injured. I just don't think that he needs to be the workhorse that the Lions lean on anymore, which is going to lead to better health. It's going to lead to a rotation of running backs, which is going to keep him fresh, keep him healthy. And I think that is really going to help him in the long run, prolong his career, and, just stay healthy and be better for the Detroit Lions next season. And then the other reason is just the Detroit Lions' commitment to the offensive line. Obviously, we went out and got Big V in free agency, who is a run-blocking tackle. We went out and got Jonah Jackson, who's a solid all-around guard. And in the 4th round, we got Logan Stenberg, whose nickname is Mr. Nasty. He plays with such ferocity, such intensity, such aggression. He's a phenomenal run blocker. That is his specialty. He's looking to put guys on the ground. He's looking for contact. He's looking to just absolutely obliterate your defensive linemen. And I think that commitment is going to help, along with Frank Ragnow, was drafted a couple years ago, who's a great center, one of the better centers in the league, one of the more underrated centers that not a lot of people talk about. Those two things together, I think, is really going to help Kerryon excel next season and surpass some expectations that, I think Lions fans like Kerryon Johnson, but they think he can't stay healthy, and he had a down season last year, so I think that he's in prime position to bounce back and have a phenomenal season for the Detroit Lions. The next player I want to talk about is Marvin Hall. Now, Marvin Hall was kind of a mid-season pickup. We picked him up at, I don't know when, I believe week 4 was the first time I remember seeing him against the Chiefs. He only had 7 receptions for 216 yards and a touchdown, averaging 29 yards a catch, which is the most in the NFL by a wide margin. When he was on the field, he was a big play machine. Unfortunately, did get injured after a couple of games and wasn't able to play a ton. Obviously, only 7 receptions isn't great. But when you average 29 yards a reception, you're doing something right. Not only does he now have a full offseason to kind of build that connection with Matthew Stafford, pick at his brain a little bit, know what he sees on each play, what Marvin sees on each play, and kind of work together with Stafford a little bit more just to build that connection up. But he also has a full season with Darrell Bevell now to, learn the offense a little bit better. Maybe develop more of a role, improve his routes, in what he can do on the offense versus more than just running streaks and posts. And then the last thing, I think he's kind of the forgotten wide receiver in this core. Everybody knows about Kenny Galladay, the guy that led the NFL in touchdowns. Everybody knows about Marvin Jones, who was a very, very good wide receiver in Cincinnati and now in Detroit. Everybody knows about Amendola, who has played in several Super Bowls for the Patriots and is a very good shifty slot receiver. A lot of people know about Geronimo Allison in the North because he played for the Packers. Not a lot of people know about Marvin Hall. He's not a big name wide receiver, but he's a big play threat. And I think that just developing that role and that connection with Matthew Stafford is going to put him in good position, as well as kind of not being the first thought when you think of Lions wide receivers. I think that he's going to be the forgotten guy. Defenses aren't going to scheme around him. And at least once or twice a game, he's going to catch them off guard and have a big play with Matthew Stafford. So the third guy on the list that I want to talk about, this is a guy that I love. I love this signing. I love everything about this player and the way he plays the game. And his name is Jayron Kearse. This was a safety we brought in from Minnesota. Smaller named guy. Not a lot of people will know him if you ask him. If you ask the general NFL fan, they probably don't know who Jayron Kearse is. But this guy is just an athletic phenom. Last year, he had only 28 tackles, 1 interception, and 6 passes defended. But I mean, he is huge. I think he's 6'4", 215, I believe. He's very versatile. He played over 50 snaps at 4 different positions last year, including box safety, deep safety, slot corner. And he even played a little bit at edge rusher. But I think that Matt Patricia is going to use that athleticism, use that versatility to move him around in the defense, not really let the offense know what he's doing, try to catch the offense off guard, moving him around, shifting him around, because he can do everything at a very high level. And I think that the signing of Jayron Kearse is a reason that the Lions had the ability to pass on Isaiah Simmons, because while Jayron is not quite the talent that Isaiah Simmons is, or at least, what most people think he's going to be in the NFL, he's serviceable. He went to Clemson also. He kind of played that Isaiah Simmons role before Isaiah Simmons was even there. And he is kind of like I don't want to say a Walmart Isaiah Simmons, but he's a cheaper, and also slightly less talented Isaiah Simmons, but still gives you all that versatility and, athletic ability. And I think Patricia's going to do a good job scheming him into the defense and having the offense not know what is coming at them with Jayron Kearse, whether he's blitzing, covering, run stopping, he could do anything that you need him to do. The fourth player is kind of a weird one because he's an NFL veteran. We paid him big money, and it's Trey Flowers. In 2019, he played in 15 games, had 51 total tackles, 21 QB hits, 7 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. And you may be saying, that's a pretty good season. He's never had over double-digit sacks in his career. And we paid him a ton of money to come to Detroit and be a pass rushing, just be that premier pass rusher that helps our defense out. And he did an okay job. He was injured at the beginning of the season. I believe he had shoulder surgery. And by the time he fully healed, he was a pretty good pass rusher by the end of the season. But I think the biggest addition that helps him is the addition of Danny Shelton. If you watch the Lions 2 years ago when Snacks Harrison was at, a elite level, guys like Romeo Okwara had 7.5 sacks. And I'm not throwing shade at Romeo Okwara. He's a good pass rusher in the NFL, but he's not Trey Flowers. We didn't pay him $90 million to come here and be elite. And I think Danny Shelton is going to play much better than Damon Harrison. Damon Harrison had a very down year last year, and nobody really had a good year on the defensive line. I think that defensive tackle presence is going to help Trey Flowers. You're going to free him up, and I think that he's going to have, a double-digit sacks next season because of the talent that was added on the defensive line is going to free him up to do more damage, and probably even Romeo Okwara and Julian Okwara a little bit too. He's going to, I think Danny Shelton is going to free up everybody, but I think Trey Flowers is going to benefit the most as I believe he is the most talented player on that defensive line for the Lions. And then the last player I think is an obvious one. I think a lot of players a lot of people in the NFL, around the NFL, fans, players, coaches, everybody has this, if they watch Lions football, is Imani Rowe, fifth round pick out of Penn State last year, or, 2 drafts ago at this point. If you watched the video I made yesterday, you'll know my opinions. I think that he's a super talented cornerback, should not have fallen to the 5th round. I think this was an absolute steal for the Detroit Lions, and I think that he's going to play a significant amount next year, even with the addition of Okudah and Desmond Trufant. And I think that he's going to make plays. I think that last year he proved that he has the talent, and I don't think Patricia and Bob Quinn and the coaching staff, I don't think that, anybody on that team could ignore Imani anymore. I think last year at the end of the season, he came in, he graded out higher than Darius Slay in some games. He proved that he absolutely belongs in this league. And I think that he's in a prime position to make plays, kind of as a Marvin Hall, that forgotten player on in the defensive backs room, because you're focused on the number 3 pick in the draft. You're focused on Desmond Trufant, who's an NFL veteran, had 4 interceptions last year. Even Tracy Walker, an up-and-coming safety. Deron Harmon, a veteran that always gets interceptions and closes out games. Justin Coleman, the highest paid slot cornerback in the NFL. I don't think a lot of people pay attention to Imani, and he's going to catch a lot of people off guard when he subs in. And people say, oh, backup cornerback, let's test him. And he's going to make them pay because he is an absolute playmaker. But those are the 5 players that I think are in prime position to have a breakout season next year. If you disagree, if you have somebody else that you think is going to have a better chance to break out, definitely let me know in the comments. For those wondering about the prediction series, talking about the NFL schedule and record prediction, I will definitely get back to that at some point, but it seems like people are enjoying this kind of stuff a little bit more right now. And I want to make stuff that a lot of people are going to watch. So, we will get back to the prediction eventually for people that are waiting for that, but I just, kind of want to wait a little bit closer to the season so it's a little bit more relevant. That's my opinion. But if you guys want to see it, definitely let me know in the comments. What else? We're almost to 100 subscribers, which is a crazy number for me. Obviously, when we get there, I will talk about it a little bit more, but I thank everybody so much for the support recently. And that is all I have for you today. If there is Lions news before tomorrow, obviously, I will let every single person know. But if there is no Lions news, I will see everybody tomorrow. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and thank you everybody so much for watching. Bye.